we're recording and such.
That we are.
And it's on a nice and snowy day here in North Dakota.
A nice snowy
day,
April
in
day.
April.
Yeah.
Nice snowy 2nd of April.
You know what they say? April flurries means spring it better hurry.
I like that. I'm going to have to use that in the future.
Stolen.
April
Stealing
blizzards freeze your gizzards was my grandpa's. That was my grandpa's thing he'd say. But,
Yeah.
snowing. Still stuck inside like most people.
What else is snow?
I probably grew a few million skin cells.
Good for you.
Good job.
Well done.
I have successfully
Mitosis.
I've done so much mitosis throughout my life, guys. It
Yeah.
just sounds like
I've done so much.
I'm splitting
Yeah,
into
bruh.
like two different people. Like a
I've done
starfish.
so much mitosis that
Done.
I'm not the same person I was 9 years ago.
No,
7.
is it 7?
It's
is that,
pretty sure it's 7.
is that the
Well,
is that the human refresh rate?
Yep.
then 9 is also an accurate statement.
That is true.
I suppose.
But you're also not the person. You. This is the
How many
Mark III. Since then,
How many hertz is that? Like one refresh over 7 years.
Extremely few.
0.000.
But 0.000. I mean, we could do the math on
Yeah. There's just so much not happening.
Yes.
I know, and I think we also got a little too much banter out at dinner.
Yeah,
Just like ever so slightly.
that usually happens.
Like we always do.
We always waste our best bits when we're not recording ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have been floating around the idea of.
What was it the other day?
We were talking about putting microphones up at the dinner table just to capture all of our all the bits we've got, because dinner is kind of like when we have everyone together and have all the bits that we've planned out throughout the
Yep.
day, and we have the most people around to like
we get
piggyback off of each other.
Yep.
So we get all of our good craziness out before we even get here. So
I think it was Riley's turn to cook the other night, and he made this dish with venison in it. And so we're like, oh, somebody said, like, what's in this? Like, venison. Somebody else said, Bambi's mom.
it's
it-
got it going on.
Like, I just kind of quietly muttered that.
And that was your
resurfaced.
response to like everything that night.
Yeah.
We would mention somebody and you go, got it going on.
I think the next topic of discussion was manatees.
and that,
And
of
how,
course,
like, one of the theories is that, like, the old legends of sirens and stuff out in the ocean were actually manatees, but I still can't quite picture it because those things are anything but shapely.
several months at sea, that'll do it to you.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't relate. Sorry.
I have it.
Sorry, 10th century sailors or whenever that was. Well, maybe not that early, but I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I mean, the ancient Greeks, that must have just been another fable thing, not really based off an actual thing. Like-
Ancient Greeks are weird.
Yeah. But they have some fun to say names for things and then names for people.
Ianopoulos.
Yeah.
Stephanopoulos.
Isn't that Big Bird's friend?
Yes, Snuffleupagus. Yeah,
Agamemnon.
George Snuffleupagus, the longtime ABC News anchor.
And now we cut to Jeff.
Jeff. Great champion there in Jeff. And Jeff.
Some days there'll be a word, a phrase, or a bit of a song that'll just be stuck in my head for the majority of the day. And the other day it was Snuffleupagus. It just kept popping back up.
It's probably my fault.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you do?
I said it at some point when I was talking about my stuffed elephant named Ephilephalophagus.
That's a good
named
name for a stuffed
Ephilephal for
elephant.
short.
Not, yeah. Or another, I think it was a Zay Frank video on something where he's like, if it was a slimy snuffleupagus or something like that. That also might have set me off. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think this, and then sometimes it's things that are kind of mismatched. Like, no, that doesn't work at all. I think it was, I was making breakfast and imagining, like, Can't Stop by Red Hot Chili Peppers, but the lyrics of Down with the Sickness, like in the chorus. Like, the tempo is maybe about right.
I don't know either of those songs. So
Neither do I. You're kind
But
of
you know Down with the Sickness. You've heard
no, I don't.
bits and pieces of it, haven't
Bits
you?
and pieces of it. I could not tell you. I could not sing the chorus for you.
Yeah. I don't know many of the lyrics, but just sort of the MP3 player in my brain was like, hey, that might work. And then after I drank some coffee, I'm like, no, it wouldn't.
After you woke up and was like, wait a minute, no.
No. There's a
Like,
lot of things.
I thought it was a good idea, but then I woke up.
Well, boys
Well, boys.
and ladies, or the one lady that we know of that listens to this, hello.
She does?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi,
Not-
Faith.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay, cool. I thought you were like thinking of the other
No,
one.
I wasn't thinking Herg.
Yeah.
You weren't thinking about On Demand?
I
No.
wasn't thinking On Demand. Shout
We
out
are-
to those of you who get that.
We should
Yeah.
probably tell them why we call this gal On Demand, because otherwise that would
yeah.
probably sound bad.
We have a friend named
Right.
Emma, and I don't know if any of you have ever read the book Emma or seen any of the film adaptations, but there's recently been one that came out and it was released on some digital streaming platform, and there's a Twitter hashtag for it. It said hashtag Emma on Demand. So
For whatever reason, in and amongst all of the coronavirus related hashtags, that was just there.
there was like 4 different coronavirus related hashtags, and then in the middle of it was this Emma on Demand thing.
Like on the trending tab.
Yeah, Riley didn't know what it was, so he screenshotted it, and then we sent it to our group chat we have with some of our buddies, and then and then to Emma herself, which led to some very confused, like, what is this?
What are you demanding of me?
Yeah, some rather delightful conversations ensued.
Oh yes,
But yeah,
quite delightful conversation.
we've got some
Really delightful.
delightfully
delightful.
delightful Seymour.
I love books.
And this library is a true treasure trove.
Rap glob. That's probably my
That would have
favorite.
been a perfect segue if we were talking about a book,
No,
which we certainly aren't.
We are switching things up this week, though. We just spent 3 weeks talking about the MCU and movies, but we, the Palladian Papists, I'm James,
I am Nathan,
And I'm Riley.
are talking about a video game this week, which
and
is
this time it was my turn to pick.
And we are going to do our hopefully inaugural segment of Gregarious Games.
Gregarious
Games.
And now we wait a bit so Isaac can edit it in. Or
If
you
we
can put
do,
the bit, if we do it. Because we
Otherwise,
probably, to be honest, we probably won't. But we're giving
we
ourselves the opportunity.
I mean, we
Yes.
could turn waiting for the bumper into a bit.
You're right. You're totally right. This is
The
perfect
bumper
content.
that James won't do.
Maybe.
I can. I want to. I just need to sit down and actually do it. I don't really have an excuse right now for basically anything.
Welcome back from the bumper, everybody.
Welcome back.
This is a pre-recorded bit where we tell you what this segment is about. The end. You guessed it from the title.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about video games.
Like some video games. We're doing video.
A particular series of video games that Nathan is rather fond of.
Quite fond of, actually, because today we are talking about the Metroid series. This is a video game series by Nintendo, and it's kind of one of their oldest and most highly acclaimed, but never really like the best selling or the most number entries in the series. So it's
One of the more hipster.
kind of, but not really. No,
really.
No, but I mean, like, no, it's one of those
you
like
could get really
most
hipster if you
people.
wanted to.
Most people aren't too into it, but it's not one of their most popular things. But it's secretly great.
Well, yes. See, it's not secretly great.
Well, yeah, most people have played
Most
it.
people who play it and like it know it's great. It's just not a lot of people play it or like it. So,
Yeah.
anyway, So this is a science fiction series that follows the adventures of Samus Aran, who is the coolest, most kick-ass bounty hunter in the galaxy. Today I'm primarily going to talk about the main 4 2D entries because I want to keep it concise.
There's like, what, 12 games in total so far?
Depending on how you count it, yeah. Because there have been like 2 remakes and 2 spin-offs and one that nobody wants to talk about because it's other M.
And it's sort of created a genre of platformer like Metroidvania. Vania? Oh, right.
Because Castlevania. Because the whole idea is, it's like, think an adventure game, right? Like a Zelda game, like a giant Zelda dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entire world. And you've got a bunch of keys and puzzle locks in this Zelda dungeon, right?
Sure.
And throughout the adventure, you get keys for all the locks or weapons that act as keys. So instead of getting a missile launcher and saying, hey, think of all the bad guys I can wreck, you get a missile launcher. I mean, you can.
And you do.
But the primary thing you think when you get a new missile launcher is, hey, I can open that door.
Is it like different elemental powers, kind of, sort of?
Usually you'll get different weapons and beams and such. But anyway, the point is, the more you explore, the more things you find, meaning the more things you can explore, meaning the more things you find. It's this kind of nice feedback loop of getting more stuff. And
snowballs.
Kind of snowballs until at the end you're a steamroller, and it feels awesome.
It's like, I will own you, boss.
Anyway, so yeah.
Or wool.
So, like, the main story kind of goes like this. There are a breed of vampire jellyfish known as Metroids, somewhere in space on some planet. Evil space pirates discover them and say, hey, these would make pretty good biological weapons. And so they take them to their base and start breeding them. And the government of space is like, no, we don't like that.
Stop. This is the government of space. Cease and desist.
This is the United States Space Force.
This is the United States of outer space.
Vice President Mike Pence orders you to stop.
So they figure, well, we'll tell this really cool bounty hunter lady to stop them. And so she does. She goes and blows up a brain in a jar and blows up a bunch of jellyfish vampires, and they blows up the base. End of game 1.
There you go. While doing some jumping and dodging. And
yeah, jumping and shooting.
Dodge,
and such.
duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
Then there's
dodge a laser ball. You can dodge a ball
of lasers.
You could dodge a dodgeball. That's what that's about. In case you didn't miss the reference to the movie Dodgeball.
I've never seen Dodgeball.
I have not either.
You
but
really need to.
We should. I think I saw it on Amazon Prime. I might be mistaken, but
you didn't watch it on Amazon Prime.
No.
There's a difference between seeing it and watching it.
Right. I saw it was available.
Anyway, carry on.
Carrying on.
Get on with it.
Moving to the game Metroid 2, originally for the Game Boy, recently remade for 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
There was the United States of outer space decided, you know what? These vampire jellyfish aliens have gotten really troublesome. Let's just get rid of the problem.
Bothersome Metroids.
So they send our protagonist, our heroine, to their home planet of letters and numbers to kill them all. Just wipe them out because they've been that much of an issue for them.
The Metroids are the space jellyfish, by the way.
Yes, that's
the planet A, B, C.
Kind of, yes.
1, 2, 3.
Pretty much. Anyway, so that's the entire plot of Metroid 2. You go and kill them all. And then right after getting to the center of their hive and blowing up their queen, because it's like an ant colony hive thing, right? She was the queen. She is the queen.
Like
anyway,
a 2-year-old reference.
There is... You bring it down to one last egg that hatches when Samus walks into the room. And from there, it the newly hatched Metroid imprints on Samus the way a lot of newborn animals do, and that makes her realize, oh wait, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. Maybe these are just kind of wild animals doing what wild animals do when they're bred by evil
That is
space
how
pirates.
the Metroid do.
So she decides, I maybe won't kill this one. I'll take it back because maybe they can research good things from it. So she brings it back to a space station to be researched. End of Metroid 2.
Love it.
Nothing could go wrong.
What could possibly go wrong? The last Metroid's in captivity, the galaxy's at peace. Only no, because Super Metroid happens, which is, by the way, probably my favorite entry in the series. Because as soon as Samus leaves the space station, she gets the distress call that, oh wait, there's pirates here. You better come back. She does, but they make off with the baby Metroid. So she chases them down to the planet from the first game and makes her way back through everything, blowing people up, collecting all the stuff, you know, the way you do.
Yar, we be grabbing baby Metroid.
So she gets down to where they're...
Samus me Bob.
So she gets down to the place where they're breeding the Metroids and such. And there's just this huge one that comes and attacks her. So it grabs her head and starts sucking her energy away like they do, because that is how the Metroid do.
Yep.
Until it stops, like when you're at one thing of health left. Because that was the baby.
Oh.
Yes. And it remembers you, and it's like, oh crap, that's Mom. Anyway.
Metroid's mom has got
Episode title right there.
There you go.
Metroid's mom.
Metroid's mom has got it going on.
Anyway, so you make your way a little further down into the place, and there's that brain in the jar from the first game. So you blow up brain in a jar, except, oh no, it has robot body now and is blowing you with lasers in the face coming out of its eyeball. And the eyeball laser gets you so
Metroids with freaking lasers coming out of their freaking heads.
So you're staggered by Mother Brain and you can't get up, and she's about to charge up her rainbow laser again when baby Metroid comes in and sucks all the juice out of the brain, and it starts healing you. Actually, it takes all the energy out of Mother Brain and sticks it into Samus. But while that's happening, Mother Brain robot body starts to wake up again and attack the Metroid baby. And in one last-ditch effort, the Metroid baby defends Samus. And now that's the last one dead. And so...
They're all gone.
They're all gone. Anyway, so with the new powers of Rainbow Beam from Metroids, you blow up Mother Brain again, and then this time, instead of just the base blowing up, it's a whole frickin' planet. So you get in your ship and fly away. Mission successful, you blew up a planet.
There you go.
Then there's the fourth one, Metroid Fusion, that kind of continues the story, because back on the planet of letters and numbers, where Metroids were once the dominant apex predator, guess what? They're the only predator of a different dominant apex predator disease that gets loose and is bad news bears on a space station. And so the United States of Outer Space wants you to go help out the research station, but you get infected, and the only thing that can save you is they actually shoot you up with Metroid juice, because the researchers kept Metroid juice for research purposes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have
Entirely academic purposes.
and
Entirely medicinal purposes.
entirely medicinal purposes. No ulterior motive from the United States of Outer Space here.
We wouldn't want to create a super soldier or anything like that.
No, it's not like they would want to create an entire
Army of-
arsenal of bioweapons in the basement of this place.
No,
No, not in the least.
No.
Because that totally doesn't happen.
ever.
Anyway, so you play the game of Metroid Fusion after you get all of your suit ripped off because it was in surgery, but then it turns out all of the evil this parasite that the Metroids left a void for are called the X, which is a very, very creative sort of name for a mysterious predator. Anyway, they have the ability to copy their host and duplicate and replicate them. So you have an evil Samus running around the ship, which is different from Dark Samus, by the way. It's
This
whole
is
other thing.
evil Samus, not to be confused with Dark Samus.
Well, it's not called evil Samus in the game, but
Right.
that's kind of basically what it is. Anyway, so throughout the course of the game, you're chased by that really creepy eyeball-less Samus because you like get a close-up of her face and it's like creepy. There's no pupils. It's awesome. Anyway,
Who needs
and you
pupils?
discovered, how the government was totally not cloning weapons of mass destruction. They were cloning weapons of mass destruction.
Naturally.
So you blow up the space station with all the X and the Metroids on it, and bada bing, bada boom. End of series for right now. There are other games that happen in the middle, but I'm not going to talk about those because I think this main 4-part story has kind of a nice little arc, back and forth arc if you look at it, right?
Sure.
Because you've got these Metroids that are dangerous and violent,
Shifty.
but they're also just kind of, I don't know, there's this kind of, if you look at it holistically, there's this there's themes of this mercy, right? Samus sparing the Metroid sparing Samus, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's this kind of cautionary tale about meddling with nature in a kind of Jurassic Parky way, because you
Didn't stop to think if you should.
you eliminate one problem, another problem's going to pop up. That's
you.
you. So that's basically the summary of those 4.
So what genre do these games fall into?
These games are primarily adventure games with a lot of shooting and jumping.
Platforming.
Yes. Platform.
Let's see, how many of them are 2D and which ones are 3D?
All of those 4 plus the 2 remakes are all 2D. Those are 2D Metroidvanias because that's what that genre is, the adventure explory thing.
Mhm.
And then the 3D ones are the Metroid Prime sub-series where you have other stuff that goes on.
Sure.
There's a thing about space cancer and another evil Samus and a whole thing.
Cool.
And those are 3D and first person, but they are still Metroidvanias. Even though they look like shooters, they are not, unless you've played Doom and you realize, oh, I got a rocket launcher. I can open a door now. That's not how first shooters are structured. So shooters are about shooting things and not getting shot. That is like the entire point, right?
And getting from A to B while doing shooting.
Right. But you get
The
you
shooting
get-
is the game. The shooting
The sh-
is like the objective, the point around
they
which the
string
game
you from
resolves.
A to B to shoot things,
Ah.
right? They set up A to B, this linear A to B track, and then put things in the way to be shot at,
Right.
because that's the focus of the gameplay.
Right.
Whereas Metroid Prime and the other 3D entries that are in first person structurally are just Super Metroid, but in 3D and first person. It would be like Riley. What genre is Skyrim?
It's a Western RPG.
If you gave Dragonborn a gun, would it become a shooter?
Is Fallout a shooter?
It's one of the
That's a philosophical question.
Yeah.
But regardless, if the Dragonborn had a gun, then it would still be an RPG. Depending on, of course, like what they did.
How
with it.
everything else was structured, but assuming that was like his primary weapon was the only thing that changed. Well,
I feel like
something's
Fallout's a
broken.
little different because the primary combat mechanics are shooting.
Fallout is Skyrim with guns.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And
I've never played a Fallout game, which I really need to. But regardless, like I don't know if they're comparable in terms of like how the weapon systems work. Because in Skyrim,
I know there's like the freeze time, like select which parts of your enemy to shoot or whatever is one of the mechanics in the Fallout series that I've seen, like gameplay.
I mean, in terms of the RPG-ness of it, I don't know how much of that there is in Fallout, but in Skyrim, there's quite a lot of it. Like, there's many different tiers of weapons, and you're able to craft most of it yourself. So it's very RPG-y in that way. And if you replaced it with here's a flat thing that you have, and it's good
Yeah.
for killing things, it wouldn't be so RPG-y anymore.
Right.
Anyway, my point is a perspective and a weapon don't a genre make.
Correct.
You look like you're.
They're
thinking.
waiting for me to push back on this, but
We're waiting
You-
for your thoughts. You're welcome to push back.
You're welcome
or
to push
agree.
back on this.
You have your own brain.
yeah, I'm just thinking. You sort of, when it comes to shooters, you have to sort of separate the multiplayer from campaigns, those that do have campaigns. I'm actually more of a shooter campaign person myself, so when I think of that, you're progressing through a story in which there is combat, and sometimes objectives to complete. Multiplayer, yeah, you're just shooting other
right.
noobs online, right? But you have games such as, well, I'd say shooters like the campaigns sometimes would cross over more into the adventure category
See,
if you implement the story into it.
right. There are elements of like BioShock. There's a lot
Right.
of exploration and finding things and stuff like that, but you're given a waypoint arrow telling you where to go,
Right.
and the rest of the gameplay is kind of centered around these combat encounters.
Yep.
Whereas if you look at Metroid Prime, enemies are usually more like, they're placed more like a Mega Man game,
Sure.
where they're on a platform that you need to get onto to get to the place you need to get to, and so they're more of an inconvenience that you just kind of shoot out of the way.
Sure.
It will occasionally close all the doors and you have to fight the guys, but that's more like an elaborate key.
Yeah.
You fight a boss and it's more like an elaborate chest to get the next item.
Sure.
It's like Metroid Prime is no more a first-person shooter than Zelda is a hack and slash beat 'em up.
Yeah. Depending which Zelda we're talking about. Well, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, the old Zeldas, you just kind of spam the attack button and get guys out of your way.
And
But the finding of the things was what the game was about.
Right. It was explore the map, find the caves, get the thing.
explore the map, find the caves, get the thing. That's a Metroid game right there, just in a different perspective and with more jumping,
Yeah.
because I like jumpy games.
As opposed to top down, it's side scroller, platformer, or
And
3D platformer.
So it's basically a fusion of my two favorite genres ever.
So would you say there's sort of a first-person spectrum where you have your pure shooters and your adventure games, as far as the 3D ones are concerned?
Like,
Because
it's not a either or thing.
a Half-Life, I'd say, kind of teeters more on the spectrum, closer to Metroid or the 3D one.
I feel like Half-Life
It's like
had one very long hallway you were going down with very little like complex map structure.
yeah,
I feel like BioShock had more of a complex map structure that you backtracked through a lot.
yeah,
There was like no backtracking except for the one story related element where you went back to an area but not like the same
Yeah.
areas you visited before. So Half-Life I feel like is more linear than even
Yeah.
BioShock was.
yeah. BioShock is very much inspired by Half-Life.
So,
but
well, yes.
anyway,
Half-Life's good. I love that.
yeah,
I just feel like the focus of the gameplay is not on the exploration or the finding of things. It is on the moving forward and killing guys.
yeah,
So it does incorporate other elements because that would just get tedious in a shooter, just like constant shooting. So you have to have high action and downtime and then high
Yeah.
action again. So there's pacing and such, right?
yep,
But combat serves a slightly different purpose in Metroid games.
Okay.
yeah. So what are some of the merits we can draw out of the Metroid series?
Start with beauty, like we always do.
Well,
What about it is beautiful?
visually speaking, the graphics hold up remarkably well, particularly the Super Nintendo ones and even the GameCube ones. They're GameCube games, but they look
In the
pretty darn
Nintendo
good.
tradition, of course.
Of course.
Colorful and
Well, I mean,
stylized.
with like, I don't know, the GameCube and the Wii in particular were like the dawn of 3D, so stuff
Yeah.
wasn't always as
64
colorful.
was dawn
Well,
of 3D.
64 was the dawn.
like Dawn, yeah.
But
Like the dish soap
Like-
Dawn of 3D.
there are a lot of games on the Wii that are really washed out color-wise.
Yeah.
So
But I think
they could have like fallen on that.
Well, a lot of
because it
other
was just
3D
kind of a
games of the
limitation
era
the
were
hardware.
washed out too.
Yeah, because this is
And-
a
and
limitation
honestly,
of the
the-
technology.
the Metroid Prime game on the Wii probably has the most washed out color palette. But Prime 1 and Prime 2, they hold up remarkably well. The pixel art on the 2D games, it's the gold standard for modern pixel art, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So visually, the games hold up. I won't say they're particularly breathtaking, but they hold up.
Yeah.
They also serve to create like an atmosphere, right?
Sure.
And it's not a passive atmosphere, if you will, where you look at a realistic vista and hear the Windows XP soundtrack plinking in the background and think, this place feels real.
Because that's what I thought every morning when I'd boot up the Windows XP for school.
But it's
I'd
actually,
write that book report. Wow, that's a real looking green hill. Anyway.
but no, rather it's kind of a more gritty and almost organic. Like the atmosphere of the game is a
More
character in
immersive.
itself, right?
Yeah.
The music just kind of it's not passive. It kind of vibe checks you. It reaches out and grabs you and grabs your attention in a way that isn't annoying or repetitive or distracting, but also gives the world a character.
Mm-hmm.
The worlds they create have a character to them, right? As opposed to being the world they inhabit, right?
Yeah.
It makes you feel, so when you hear the various themes that'll play, you know where you are, and it kind of gives you a sense of direction. And also the themes are great. The music is like, it can be really subtle and beautiful and haunting when it really wants to, or it could be just kind of upbeat and kind of groovy and adventure-y, or it could just be terrifyingly oppressive when you're fighting a boss battle and you're jumping around and he's jumping around. And it's, so the visuals, the music are really, they're the sort of thing I like.
Could you imagine, like, if in real life there was theme music to like different places you visited?
Or if different characters you interacted with were
Yeah.
had theme
Like
music.
you
What
talk
was-
to your mom and you just hear sort of like this.
Stacy's mom is
Nice.
Figured I'd keep the bit alive.
Yeah. Or like some nefarious character walks up to you and you hear like minor key sort of foreboding music. It's like, I don't feel like I can trust you.
It'd actually be very helpful.
It would be.
It would be very.
There'd probably also be a lot fewer
Why do I hear
shady
boss
characters
music?
because they can't really, like, the only people they can fool are deaf people.
But if you had the skills to pull it off, you could be shady anyway.
True. That'd be funny. Or like,
You could be Slim Shady.
yeah, Slender Man.
Not what I was thinking, but okay.
Yeah. I don't know. So
You
I
could
guess
become Marshall Mathers, is what he was saying.
I see. So I guess the next one would be goodness. What goodness?
What?
Or well, no, I suppose.
Does it really matter?
Yeah, let's go to goodness. We'll get to truth. We're doing it.
We're doing it
Out of
slightly
order.
In an order, I suppose. I mean, as long as we get them all.
Yep.
So goodness, right? I feel like there's a
Well, the whole bit with Samus and the last living Metroid.
yeah,
That
there's
exchange.
this bond that kind of grows, and it's kind of great because unlike most games that'll stop and give you a cutscene or will stop and give you a text box telling you how everyone feels. When you play the black and white Game Boy original Metroid 2 is kind of janky and not the best way to experience it.
Mm-hmm.
But even still, you walk into this room and like the music cuts out and the little baby pops up and then you just spend the rest of the game climbing back out of the cavern as this melancholy music plays, and you just go to take it back to your ship, and it gives you that time to reflect. Like, was this killing just? Was this war I just waged against this species? Was that just? Was that a good thing? It makes you question violence. It makes you think more mercifully about the whole scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of got an emotional core like right there.
Yeah.
And then so I mean that's good. And then there's the general, saving people, and
Yeah.
you get there's actually in Super Metroid there's like these animal NPC type of characters that you come across when adventuring.
Uh-huh.
And they lock you in an area with those animals, and those animals like show you some hidden powers you have. There's like a couple of monkey guys that teach you how to wall hop, and a bird that teaches you how to do a running dash, charge dash, and then like rocket upward. Anyway, while the planet's blowing up, you have the option to break off the path directly to your ship and save those animals.
Oh.
So it's like if you remember, and those animals actually do play a role in Metroid Fusion too. So it's like the kind of, I don't know, the acts of kindness you do along the way, they kind of come back.
Neat.
Yes. So it's like you can fight and be tough, but also have an underlying tenderness to nature and other people. Nature.
Aren't Metroids nature's Metroids?
Kowalski, what did we say about true but unhelpful comments? Speaking of true. Truth.
What a segue.
Wow. I'm riding all over Shields with that one. Like those managers. Like they do at the Big Shields, which is a sporting goods store in our town that used to be open before the Virus Nation attacked.
Imagine being a virus bender.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
I'm sorry, does somebody want the sniffles today? Or how about debilitating illness?
That would be the most
Worst villain ever.
The worst. I mean, you can. I suppose if you're a waterbender, you could, or an airbender, you could kind of.
You could
that.
make that work.
You can make
You
it
just
work.
fill your thing with virus and then bend it. But yeah, that'd
be the worst. Anyway, truth.
Truth.
Yeah. Where be the truth in the Metroid games? What are some truths, I guess, that it touches on? Kind of related to the goodness.
Kind of related to the goodness, I feel like. I will be honest. This was the part where I'm like, what do I talk about in the truth segment? I mean,
it might be able to be a little. I mean, the whole thing is false. I mean, I suppose it doesn't really go terribly deep.
It doesn't go terribly deep just because the story itself isn't terribly deep.
Yeah.
There are some entries in the series where the stories do go deeper if you look for them to be deeper.
Right.
But it just kind of gives you more background details on the ancient people that used to live on the planet and such.
Sure.
And the one entry in the series that tries a little too hard to go deeper in the story is not the one I like.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do it well.
Yeah.
I don't talk about other
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like with games, there are certain games.
There's like the one in the series that's like, no, we what about that shadowy place?
Yeah. It's like where you don't really need much of an explanation. You're just there for the experience of the gameplay.
We don't go there.
And I mean,
Simba.
and there's a lot of the games that I play that are like, a little bit light in that department. I mean, I couldn't really do an episode on Mega Man,
Yeah.
right?
There's if you try to make any substance out of, which sometimes the X games do.
Yeah, the X games kind of touch on the what is humanity, what is free will, and
Dr.
like, some of the-
Wily.
yeah, but the rest of them were just Dr. Wily did a thing. You should go shoot him, Mega Man.
This is the best English dub ever.
Mega Man 8's cutscenes are the worst, but I love them for it.
It's pretty bad. Anyhow.
I have a Diablo 3 character named Dr. Wowie.
That is so good.
Nice.
So you've seen
It's a
those?
witch doctor.
Oh, that's good.
I see. So you got the doctor bit in there.
That makes sense.
And because my name is Wowie.
Yeah.
But the truth is very much related to that, to the goodness in there. I feel like, and
Yeah.
there's
The Unity, I suppose, is the final remaining one, I believe.
Yes. I mean,
I mean-
when we talk about Unity, we're talking more about the cohesion of the elements which constitute it,
And-
rather than like the coming together of
Right,
people.
like whole
Because-
as a whole,
like
holistically.
how does the aesthetic blend? How is everything form a cohesive whole?
Yeah.
And these are games that really do a good job having that unified identity, bringing everything together, bringing the music and the gameplay into the story. Like I said with the bit of Metroid 2, where the Metroid follows you as you climb up actively, and you grow kind of a relationship with it through that.
Yeah.
During Super Metroid and the sequence when the Metroid latches onto you and starts attacking you, you still have full control of Samus, so you can jump around and try and shoot it until the revelation happens. At the end of Super Metroid, when you're fighting the Mother Brain and it's shooting you with lasers, controls are never taken out of your hand. You play through the moment.
Yep.
It's a scripted sequence, and in that way, some degree of control is taken away from you, but you never feel removed from the moment, right?
Yeah.
Everything from the gameplay to the music to the sound design to the art direction all kind of comes together to create a really effective and cohesive whole for the storytelling, for the gameplay. All the elements are just top notch. It's good stuff. I like it a lot. I recommend it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what are some, I guess, game players that could be interested in this sort of thing, or like, what sort of interests would this be a good recommendation?
If you enjoy Zelda games and don't mind action platformers and don't mind getting lost a little bit, this is a good game. If you're already into other Metroidvanias like Castlevania or Cave Story, another game I really like, or like Ori and the Blind Forest is another great one. So if you already are familiar with them or have played something like those, these are very much in that vein. I would say if you want to get into the series, the Prime games are a good starting point.
If you're more used to 3D games.
Yes. Metroid Zero Mission, the remake of the first one on Game Boy Advance, is a decent starting point. The remake of Metroid 2 is another not half bad place to start. I don't know. Just don't start with Other M.
We do not go that way. Other M does not have it going on.
It does not. And by the way, it very much leans hard into the motherhood theme because Samus won't shut up about the baby this, the baby that. And if you look at the initials, Metroid, Other, M, it is very blatantly mom. So it's like, thank you, but you tried too hard.
Navi, quit slapping me in the face with the obvious.
That's kind of the whole problem. Every other game excels in subtlety, except Other M, which is like, hey, pay attention to this obvious plot point and these obvious parallels I'm making between these characters.
It's like that one person when you're peer reviewing their paper in class and just ridiculously heavy-handed with every explanation. It's like, how do I begin to tell you? Need to stop saying things so obviously.
You see, Star-Lord, the sailor in this song is like me, and your mom is like...
Yeah, it's like...
For as fun as Guardians 2 was, the symbolism was much better when they didn't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he could have just said, like, without directly referencing the song, he could have just been like, I loved her, but my life belongs to this thing I'm doing. And it would have been a more subtle parallel than flat
actually
out.
calling it out twice.
Yeah.
Kind of a awkward handling of that.
Yeah.
But with that's sidetracked. Different space people.
Different space people, different space genocide.
Did you know, actually, or the original Metroid for NES was very much inspired by the movie Alien,
I believe it.
which is a movie that I really like.
Yeah.
And the fact that one of the recurring villains is a space pirate pterodactyl fire-breathing dragon guy named Ridley, named after Ridley Scott. And he's got a very large head and a very, very long spiky tail. And so
looks a little xenomorphic.
A little xenomorphic, except slightly more dragony. Anyway, kind of a little fun fact there.
That makes sense. I suppose, yeah, where would one naturally think that Ridley is a good name for a dragon character?
I know, right?
So that makes a lot more sense now.
It's like this evil tyrannical space pirate monster just has a normal person name. It's like, hi, Jeff.
Yeah. Isn't Ripley the name of the
Yes.
gal in Sigourney Weaver's character?
Yes,
in the
Sigourney Weaver's character. Ellen Ripley, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, it's similar to Alien in the fact that it has a female protagonist
Yep.
who blows up a spaceship at the end.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So what are Riley's thoughts, I guess?
Nothing I wanted to say has not already been said.
Gotcha.
You guys covered it. Great job.
Thank you.
Good job, us.
You got to be the spectator this time to make up for Warcraft.
That was how many episodes ago? Like 4 or 5?
4.
4?
Because it was the one right before
We started the
we started
MCU.
Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
I got to plug one of my favorite video games out there. So
We did it.
we did it. We did
I'm
it.
really feeling
we did
it.
Yeah.
Hooray! Thank you for listening to us, the Palladian Papists.
Thank you for listening to me rant and rave about this.
If you are somebody who listens to podcasts on Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Google Play or Spotify, not a whole lot of people do, but we have all those options available to you. So if you want to
Rate them.
rate them, yes, that will help us out a lot. If you have ideas, follow us on Twitter at Palapapists and Facebook as well.
We have now accumulated 2 followers that are not hosts of the show.
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
So Brother Teresa and who?
Some other person that I'm not too familiar with. but-
Hello, other person that Riley isn't familiar
Welcome
with.
to
Thank you
our
for following us on Facebook.
Twitter,
On Twitter.
followerhood.
We have
I meant
way
Twitter.
more followers on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Facebook, you can invite people to like your page. So I did.
Twitter, you can't.
Yeah.
Can you invite people to like Twitter on Facebook?
I mean,
That sort of defeats the point.
yeah. People don't click on things on Facebook. So,
Well, I mean, you worked in ads, you should know.
yeah. It doesn't get better when you pay for them, I can tell you that. I mean, it does, but it's like proportionate to... Anyway. But yeah, shoot us some feedback. If you have any ideas for what you'd like, what sort of pop culture, book, movie, TV show, maybe, or video game, or what have you, you'd like to hear us talk about. If we've tried it, we'll or seen it, or what have you, or maybe we can
Or if we're interested, we'll take a peek.
take a peek. We can talk about it. So if you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, we won't answer the concerns, but we will appreciate comments. Shoot us a message. So yeah.
Do we have a Gmail to send those concerns to?
You can send the concerns to Palladian Papists at gmail.com.
It is plural.
Yes.
The website is incidentally now plural also.
Oh,
We fixed
that's
it.
helpful.
So now we are the PalladianPapists.wixsite.com, I believe.
Correct.
So yeah.
Very cool. So give us a like, share on
Yeah.
there.
If you wanna, that's our home page.
Make it your homepage.
There's
for
nothing really there for you to see.
You can
No.
you can use the links to go to our profile on the different podcast platforms and such.
or a
there.
link to the past episode.
Yeah,
We don't have an episode on a link to the past.
that could be
Oh.
a topic for the future.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
We'll have to.
That was
There's a
Zelda
lot of
reference, by the way,
reviewable Zelda games that are gonna.
that I'm gonna have to get you to play because
Yeah, I've played
good
a fair
stuff.
few. I've played, I think, 4 of them now. Or is it
you
3?
played 3.
It's
Played
just 3.
Link to the Past, Wind Waker, and Breath
Breath
of the Wild.
Yeah, those
How
are
many
the
of you
3.
played, Riley?
Just one.
Okay.
Part of Breath of the
I
Wild.
played the first hour of Twilight Princess, and then Jasper left.
Oh, that's right. Hi, Jasper.
Oh, Jasper. I have played all except 3, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Anyway, but that's not what this
cool
episode
stuff
is
coming
about.
down the pipeline. So we really
Yeah, there's
appreciate
potential.
listening. If you are so inclined, we'd be really grateful if you would share our podcast with people and have them also like and share it and spread the
mean,
good word
During
about
quarantine, what else are they gonna do?
Yeah, like if you're not listening to podcasts already,
What do you
Start-
know?
start with ours.
If you're not listening to podcasts already, then how are you hearing this?
Yes. Gods, how are you doing this?
Hey gods, my
My roast is ruined.
But what if
If you were to listen to my podcast.
and disguise it as good Catholic content?
Oh,
delightfully angelic.
delightfully, Seymour.
All right, yeah. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Well,
All that jazz.
is there subscriptions on any of the things we?
No.
No.
Subscribe anyway.
You can follow it.
Yeah, you can follow it on one of the
Spotify.
platforms. On
I
Spotify.
suppose you can follow it. I have no idea what any. I think you can subscribe to it on iTunes.
Yeah.
Kinda like
But yeah, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and share and all the fun stuff. But thank you guys for listening.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
Peace.